It always makes me chuckle when I hear the dog bark. All right, good morning, my dog. Sorry I'm a little late. It's 6:33. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, founder of Red Dog Mindset. Hopefully everyone's feeling good. It is Wednesday. It is February 19th, and the market is a little tricky, right? Yesterday felt as if they sold strength early morning. We're up 20 handles. Kind of felt very lethargic. Felt like, some things were rolling over, and then in the last 10 minutes of the day, they squeeze the shorts and have some kind of buy program and takes us right to the highs and kind of paints the tape. Not much you could do when stuff like that happens, except for let it roll off the shoulders. If you look this morning, you have the SPYs down $1, you have Baidu up 28 cents, like little bits and pieces. For me, it's a little tricky. It's like I'm trying to figure out, besides making money every day, what do I want to sink my teeth into? And you can't really do it with the Mag 7 right now. The Mag 7 is just broken. 2 weeks ago, I named it the Lag 7 because so many names were broken. You have holes in the chart of Microsoft, a hole in the chart of Amazon, a hole in the chart of Google. Yesterday, they were all making lower lows. You have Tesla in no man's land. And then finally, Meta and Netflix had a day one down, while Apple is kind of in no man's land. So those 7 names are just like up in the air. So what happens when those names are up in the air? You try and find other things to do and keep your sanity and get your mind right? So if you look here, look at this move in the end of the day. Some people are like, Red Dog, I went to my son's basketball game at what time did I go? I left at like 3:46. I did the recap, and then I all of a sudden I look at 4:01 and look at that move from 6:09 to 6:11 and change. It started at what time? At 3:50. And then, so if you got squeezed out of some of your hedges, which some people did, and you weren't on, and then and you got back in towards the end of the day, now the SPYs are down $1. You know what? Take a breath. Let it go. It is only February, 19th, and what do we say? There's 240 trading days, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. Just, figure out what's next here. At this point, we could build an upper level. You can let the 8-day catch up. We can go sideways and then see if, there's a little bit more continuity. You're getting these like erratic moves where you get a false breakdown and then it goes. So you have to go back to trades. You're getting these groups and broken trades, kind of just do a little bit of a reversion to the mean. And, those type of trades aren't the best if you're trying to do a swing trade. Well, what do I mean? Well, let's go real quickly. Amazon, from the hole in the chart every single day, making lower lows until finally, like, how are you going to see that little, rally at the end of the day? Now you have 223.72, 223.72. If you tried to buy versus a low for the last multiple sessions, you've been, basically stopped out every single day. That's a lot of little paper cuts. You do that with a few different names, it's tough. I've actually been avoiding it. I just have it on my go-to list, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get back involved. But so far, it's not telling you can. Okay, now you have what? You have, 223.72. One of these days, maybe you'll get a higher low, and then it'll break a little downtrend, and then you could get back involved for a swing. But it's not yet. Google did the same thing. Google also kind of broke. This is a bear flag here. Broke below the prior low. And then what did it do? It kind of held the low here, and it's just doing a whole lot of nothing. You have a big hole in the chart, and it's not where the action is. And then you look at the semis, and although NVIDIA had a big move and we made a lot of money in NVIDIA, what it all did is rally right back into pretty much the range, into a spot. Some guys made good money short yesterday, right? Because what did it do? It rallied right back into, you have a high, lower high, another lower high. So now the question is, does it tighten up here and then start to make, a real move? You could say this is really, it was a great trade, which it was, when it reclaimed 116, but had to break below 116 to get back. And then, right here was when it kind of reclaimed the moving averages, gave you a pivot up, held the 8-day, and then traded into that gap. So you have a lot of like range type trading, not like stocks that are ready to, hold and go and break. And It is what it is. What are you gonna do? You can't, you can't get upset. What you have to do is, yeah, what they say, you have to be aggressively patient, very patient, waiting for your spot, but be aggressive when things go. We did very well with Baba. Baba's been absolutely fantastic, but now, what are you going to do with Baba now? Like, is it really worth? We were playing it since '90. It's a went to 129.82. Is Baba really worth putting $5,000-$10,000 in an option play for earnings that are coming out? When are they? Tomorrow? Kind of priced in. So you got to just figure out. I think before you do a trade now, you got to say, is this worth it? Is this a compelling spot? Is the risk reward in your favor or not? You just don't want to try things. I've been trying a few things and it's been tricky. I actually got stopped out of Bitcoin yesterday. Why did I get stopped out of Bitcoin? Because it was going sideways, closed below the moving averages, broke below 53.69. And now Bitcoin, what's it doing? Bitcoin is up today. Up $1.26. Did it have to go down and break below 53.69 to then be up here? Now 54.77. What's this high here? 54.98. What I will say is this, guys. Do not go back to this because of the action of the prior day. That happened to me a bunch of times where, all of a sudden the computers know how to give you one last little, kiss. It's like the Sicilian kiss right before to get you out before it goes. And right now, I guess you could kind of make this a little bit lower and say, hey, if this were to break above here, maybe it gets going. What I did yesterday was I bought Mr. Options instead of nickel and diming and saying, hey, it's funny thing is, we're active traders. And yesterday I'm like, Bitcoin I'm like, why is Bitcoin so heavy? I call my friends from BlackRock and a few institutions. I'm like, is there any reason why Bitcoin's so heavy? Is there selling? Is there, did the treasury get some confiscated? They're like, Bitcoin's going to 150,000 this year. I'm like, okay, I understand it's going to 150,000 this year, but what do you see with the flows now? They're like, it doesn't really matter. That's when you're talking to the wrong people because, they are not getting paid in February for what Bitcoin's doing. They're not getting paid maybe for the first quarter. They have an overall longer term thesis. So you have to really figure out where you're going to live. So for me, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just go out and I'll buy Mr. April calls. So that's what I did. So, if all of a sudden, it goes sideways, one thing you could say, like Mr. went sideways, right? You had IBIT break below a little bit of a level and Mr. went sideways. So that was the first time in a while since I've been trading both that Mr. acted better than Bitcoin in a little bit. Last time it did that, there was a huge run that happened. Bitcoin was down, Mr. was still up. Bitcoin was up, Mr. was up huge. So maybe this is the start of better action versus 309. So what did I do? I bought a little MSTU calls for April, and I also bought some Mr. calls for April. So, but if Mr. starts to trade better, maybe I'll buy it. And then if it trades through here, I'll be in options and the stock. So the VTF knows when I'm in options, it's like maybe something's happening. When I'm in options and then the stock, then it tells them that it's trading really well. And this is where you should be focusing. Let me say hello to some of my dogs. So this is, I would think, for Mr. to start to get going, it's got to trade above 344. So maybe you could be long versus 327 and add above 344 besides having some kind of options. If this is going to go, if Bitcoin's going to get better and be out of this, this kind of tough range that it's been in. I got 20 comments right now. Let me say good morning to some of my dogs around the world. A lot of these guys have already subscribed to the Red Dog Mindset. Some of them have already did that little 20-minute workout that I did in the morning. I needed it today. I had some good music on. I was in my sauna with my 15-pound weights. I did 20 minutes thinking about my positions, thinking about some names that have earnings coming up, thinking about what happened yesterday, thinking about how I could adjust for what's happening today, getting my mind right before coming into the 630 Club. And if you do find value at the 630 Club, what you should do is you should subscribe to Red Dog Mindset and get the full picture. Get the morning going prior, and then also whiteboard weekends, which is going to be lessons that have to do with, the mindset. But anyway, ACHR, how's it looking? Not great. ACHR, LUNR, all of those like lunar type names had a big move off the open and faded, but it's still fine. It's just annoying. Mistex, okay, that's pretty good to play. What's up? Good morning, Jack. Good morning, Smitman. Ali Hassan says good morning. What's your plan for grab earnings? That's a good thought. So let me talk about that. Okay. First of all, you guys better have made a lot of money in Dash. Dash is dashing. I've been all over this since September 11th. My friends brought it to me August 5th. They loved it. They said this thing is misunderstood. It's going to 300 over the next 2 years. I said, it's a 120. I can't just say it's going to 300. I'm like, I need to trade it methodically with a plan. So for those of you who are with me with Dash, Dash has been unbelievable. So they brought me Dash here, on this big reversal on August 5th, which if you remember, that was a reversal of the summer. I started to trade it September 11th because technically, I was like, you know what? And then I kind of managed them because they didn't know how to play their tier system, their size. So anyway, into this year, I said Dash is going to 225 right here, which was January 17th. That's when I started to get long Dash again. That's when this channel going sideways told me it's ready to go. And then look at that move. So PS, it went to 215. Now it can go sideways. They let the moving averages catch up. And I still think this isn't done. You go to the weekly chart, and I put this up many times. I showed you guys the cup and handle. I showed you where it started from in 2021, 2022, and it's not even there yet. So there's still a lot more action to happen in Dash. It's just a little extended. So if you didn't play it well, you know what? You have to take a little bit of a step back. So anyway, that's Dash. Dash has been unbelievable. Some guys are like, hey, Red Dog, you got to look at Grab. Grab is kind of like a little different. It's an app. It's overseas. They also do deliveries and food and this and that. So anyway, I don't think it's obviously not the same thing, but I'm like, let me take a look at the chart. I looked at the chart. I'm like, you know what? This chart looks pretty good. I started buying it in here and accumulating it. Okay. So I started accumulating it in this 470, 480 area with you guys. I talked about this last week with you guys. Came in on yesterday. The stock was up big, trimmed a little bit above 550. I always trim. Listen, you just say you have 5,000 shares coming in. Okay. You could have 10, you could have 20, you could have one. With the tier system, if you have 5,000 shares, you're selling 2,000 shares into 540 plus, booking some money. And then when it pulls in, you could buy 1,000 of that back. And then when it builds in here, you could trade around. Like right now, Grab is, what's it doing? It's up 12 cents. It's not a whole lot. Maybe you trim a little bit out. So what I did yesterday is I started buying some options for this Friday and next Friday, because one of my rules is I don't take stock into earnings. And people aren't sure which date this is coming out. Some say it's coming out February 19th, which is today. I guess it's post-market. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably not be in the stock by the close, but I'm in options. I'm in Grab 221s, which is this Friday, the $6 calls, just in case it has a big move. And then I'm in the following Fridays. And if it trades above 567 after hours, I'll probably add to it. Then if you look at the weekly chart, this too, had a big move when it first came public. This was about the same time Reddit came out, the same time, Dash came out. So if this is just the start of a big move above this consolidation, this long consolidation where institutions have been accumulating it, there's a lot of room up here to the $9, $10 area. So we'll see. Hopefully the report cooperates, and hopefully we get the move. I'm there. I'm going to probably get a lot smaller in my shares, and I'm going to hold the options and then trade after hours. So that's my plan with Grab. Okay. I could say, hey, it's only a $540 stock. I'll just take the stock into numbers. And then all of a sudden it misses. It's down $1. And I'm like, that was horrible. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but that's the plan there. Meta had day one down. We'll see how it goes. Day one down, pretty bearish, engulfing, broke below 725, playing with the 8-day. I'd get interested somewhere near the 21-day. Yesterday's low is what, 706.44? I guess you could buy adverse that to see if it goes red to green, but I would kind of take a step back here. The other Mag 7 names are doing absolutely, they're not doing well. So why would this be in such a rush? So this is 689, but hopefully you got out of the way when it broke 725. There's always sell rules. I post my sell rules all the time, and you better learn your sell rules. It's going to save you money. I coach these guys that lose hundreds of thousands of dollars a day without sell rules. I'm like, you guys are feeding small villages. Stop the slippage. Slippage sucks. Cancer sucks. So does slippage. Everything, things that you can, anyway, I don't want to get into that, but so this broke 725 and now it has 706.44. What's it doing this morning? Meta is down $1.47, kind of no man's land. Sometimes things are in no man's land. You have no point of reference all the way down to 706, but it's only down $1.40. Maybe you could play it red to green. It's up to you. Same thing with Netflix. Netflix kind of changed also. Didn't quite break the 8-day yet, but to me, I would be careful because if you have the Amazon going to the 50-day, Google going to the 50-day, Microsoft even below it, why can't this get to at least a 21-day? I'm just saying. So that's why, I'm being a little bit careful here. I'm not just buying a shallow dip. So this broke 1041. My power plays got rid of it. My power plays did great. 980, like 992 up to 1060. That was a great play. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. ARBE, I got stopped out yesterday. Why? Broke below this area. My stop was 760. Some still have it that aren't as active. They're giving this to 720. They're giving this to 20-ish. So to me, it's just not acting great. I'm not going to just sit in some small names, that aren't giving me clues to that it's going to be in motion. You don't have to sit in things. You could always revisit once you get a nice day one that's followed by a few. Same thing happened to say ASTS, right? This was in a choppy, crappy range. You didn't know what was going to happen. Broke below here. Some guys got stopped out. And then right here, you could have got back in, took back 22, and then had a nice move up. I bought some options out a few weeks because, there's a lot of institutions out there that think that this thing could be $60, $70, $80 this year. A lot of accumulation, big move. But again, up here, it probably needs a little bit of time. But again, I'm just saying how, if you got stopped out here, maybe they said, oh my goodness, I got to watch it again. And then it started to reclaim all the moving averages instead of being a mishmash in the moving averages. And that could have been your spot to go back to it. There's always a spot to go back to it. So if ARBE wakes up, I'll go back to it. But for now, I'm not just going to sit in a small, tiny little robotic name, especially when you had that move that was kind of predatory in SOUN and SCRV when NVIDIA talked about divesting in them. DOGZ. Oh, nice. So Mancini's saying, I could have made you guys millions in these things. I don't like to trade them. I don't like to have the so Mancini's saying Dog Z is starting to work. Remember when I told you guys FTEL? I'm like, guys, do not buy FTEL. It's a scam stock. My friends are shorting it. It took 6 months, but I said don't fall for it. It's going below 5. So for those of you who play that game, this was FTEL. Went to $1.10. I'm like, guys, right here. People are like, Red Dog, did you see this chart? It looks awesome. I'm like, dude, my friends say it's a 0. Went to $1. So anyway, this DOGZ. Oh, hold on. They're also saying that this one is a scam. So don't get caught up here. Chart-wise, it's breaking down. They're saying this is going to be a $5 or less stock too. There are these Chinese scam stocks that I don't even know how the SEC lets them have these things out there. But anyway, IRBT is not a scam stock. It's just another robotic name. Actually, that looks pretty good. IRBT looks better than ARBE, going sideways. Not great. This doesn't look great, but, robotics is definitely, a narrative that I don't think is going to go away. This looks pretty good. What's it doing this morning? IRBT down 6 cents. But again, do you want to hold these little ones? Looks pretty good. And then some people are saying, hey, Red Dog, what about Celsius? There are guys out there that have been averaging down in Celsius literally since like 55. So, and now they're declaring victory because it's up from 22. I remember I lost money buying $35 calls, $30 calls, and whatever. I'm not going to get into it. But bottom line is there was some news that the CEO and the CFO are going to be on a call. I think they have earnings, and they just announced it's going to be in 2 days. I don't, if you think it's going to work, just don't get a false sense of security buying hundreds of thousands of shares. Buy options just in case. The stock did do a double top at 98. It's been below the moving average since. Just came a little bit off lows here. Where could it get to? I don't know. I don't have a thesis here, but some are saying, this is 30, this is 32. It can get to 37 if it wanted to for, some kind of broken bounce, whatever it is. I've seen people average down in names that go down to 5 and they blow up their entire trading accounts because they get an opinion and conviction. I'd wait for it to show. But again, if there's a catalyst in 2 days, at least there's a catalyst in 2 days. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. My only recommendation to you is take options, not stock, just in case it doesn't work. If it works and you have options, you'll make a lot of money. If it doesn't work and you have options, risk is premium paid. That's just the way I go about it. Yeah, Uber's been working out very well. That's true. Uber woke up when Ackman came out with their that he was involved in it, and yeah, Uber looks good. Uber looks good. Tesla, Tesla's interesting a little bit. It's a little bit more interesting than it's been. I did play a decent 2-day bounce, made some decent money. I haven't touched it in 2 days actually. It's in a little bit of a pocket pivot here. So some guys are like, hey, Red Dog, can I be long Tesla versus 347? You could. And do you think you can get to 373 to 375? It's got to get above 362 first. So at least you have a little tiny wedge here. But this trend from the Red Dog reversal 488 area is down. So we'll see. I'll look at it a little closer now because, again, it's either going to break 347 and work back towards the lows and make a high, lower high, lower high, lower high, another lower high, or it's going to break above this and maybe see that. So I will watch it a little closer. But this has been broken. This has been this hasn't been, Tesla was my number one trade pre-election, post-election, and then ever since this Red Dog reversal sell, it's been working its way down. Anyway, we'll see how it goes from here. When will I look at Intel? I think it's a little late for Intel. More. Wow, what a move. This is masking, that's what's interesting in this market is that you're not getting 52-week high awesome trades. You're getting, a name that's heavily weighted having a broken bounce off of crazy lows. So now what? I don't know. Right here, I would thought if you were looking to be long Intel, you had a wake-up call. It held the moving averages, and you've already been there. If you're looking at Intel now, it's up to you. I'm not playing Intel now. Jay Rice says CEG was up on earnings yesterday, helped the energy sector. Okay, so let's see what GEV looks like. All right, it's getting tight. You have this mid-level wedge. What's working against it? The fact that it never filled this gap. What's working for it? That it's had a major move and all it's done is consolidate. So, there could be a play here. There are still people that I know on the Alpha team, that spend every day with me, look pretty good. Apple event today, the new iPhone. All right, I'm in some Apple still. Apple looks good to me. Apple was my best Mag 7 trade last week. Made really good money buying it right here at 233 and then managing it all the way up. I even held it yesterday, bought a dip, traded around it. So now, okay, let's set some parameters. If you were an active trader that trade for a living, which is what I do, you could be long Apple versus 241, right? That's your out. If you think this is going to create a bull flag to break above and continue a move that we saw last week, you're long versus 241. And if it gets above 245, then you have 247, and perhaps it continues. If you think it's a rally into resistance to be sold, then it's got to get below and stay below 241. That's how I would that's how I would frame the trade. If you've been an Apple for a decade, congratulations, you made a lot of money and you don't care what I just said. But if you trade actively for a living and you're trying to stay with an active sequence that could continue to reward you to stay with the trade and stay engaged, for me, my trade is I'm still long Apple. I bought it last week here. I am smaller. And if we can hold 241 for a little longer, takes out 245, I will get bigger for more action to the upside. That's how I frame the trade. That's how I put it on the Alpha team. That's how I put it into my note. Snow actually looks pretty good. It's just a little erratic. It's looking like it's going to trade into this gap. One up day, one down day, one up day. I would say with Snow, you have to just be long versus a level. And it does look like it's going to trade into this gap. This gap keeps closing. And it's, there are a lot of fundamental guys out there that love it. I have a friend that owns it from the actual private placement still in there. I would say this one is more of like you have to be long versus a level and not trade it through one, because it doesn't really give you that kind of momentum when it's there. But it looks good. Looks good. I'm not in it, but you could be in it. If there's a big gap above, if it wants it, you could be long. You could even put your stop here. You could raise your stop. Say, hey, I'm going to be long Snow versus 184, gets above 194. Maybe it gets in the gap. What's Snow doing this morning? It's up 72 cents. So showing a little relative strength. Worthy on the, it's good to be on the radar, but I'd have this on the B list, maybe the B plus list. All right, guys, it's holy sugar honey iced tea. It's 6:58. So anyway, the market to me has been a little tricky. Yesterday Baidu didn't have the report that I wanted it to have, so I rolled up options 3 times and then into the print. It didn't work. It happens. You move on. Baba's coming out tomorrow. I'm not taking it into earnings. You guys could take it. Baba was my best trade the last 2 weeks. To me, it gave me this pre-earnings move. And although if you look at the weekly chart, some people like, where could it go if it really, if the margins are better and the growth is there, it can get to 148. But after a move like this, to me, we're risking 10 to make 50 or risking 5 to make 20. Maybe I'll trade it after, maybe I won't. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you. Good luck today.